Hello everyone and welcome back to another BlenderMadeEasy tutorial. Today we're going to be learning how to break a glass jar in Blender. You've probably seen these videos before where a glass jar full of beads or whatever falls down and scatters everywhere, and that's what we're going to be doing today. If you want to skip the tutorial and just grab the blend files, you can find all of them for every single animation that you see on screen over on my Patreon. The link is down in the description. So here we are in a brand new scene, and we're first going to press X and delete the default cube, and then press Shift A and add in a cylinder. This is going to be the base for our jar model. Now when working with simulations in Blender, you want to make sure everything is very large. If you try and simulate at real world scale, you're going to have a very hard time doing that. So for this tutorial, we're going to open up the properties and set the X and Y all the way up to 2.5, and then for the Z, we're going to go up to around 4 meters. Then in front view, we'll go into edit mode and then box select the bottom half there, Control B to bevel, and we'll just bevel it and then use the scroll wheel to add in a couple of loop cuts. That looks good. For the top here, we're going to drag it up, E to extrude, scale this inwards, E to extrude again, E and then scale outwards, and then E to extrude one more time so we get this sort of shape. From here, holding the Alt key, you can select that loop, bevel this so it's a bit smoother, and then the same thing here, we can bevel out that edge. And now we have this shape here. Now for the scene, we're going to be adding in multiple different objects, and so we want to make sure everything is organized. So for this object here, this is going to be our collision shape. In the outliner, let's name this collision to keep everything organized. From here, we're going to press Shift D on this object to duplicate it, and this object is going to be our glass object. So type in the word glass here. And then for this glass object, let's go into edit mode and then delete this top face here. So over in the face select mode, select that top face, X, and delete it. And so now we have this shape just like this. From here, we can jump over to the modifier tab, add in a new modifier, and then add in a solidify modifier to give this a bit of thickness here. So if we zoom in, we can drag this up till it's around 0.05 or so. The other very important step that we want to do is we want to make sure even thickness is turned on. We're going to be adding in a cell fracture add-on later, which chops up our glass jar into multiple pieces. And if even thickness is not checked, it's not going to work properly. So make sure that is checked right there. And the other thing that we can do is apply the scale to both of these objects, so everything is perfectly fine with these scale numbers. To add in a lid object, let's select the collision and then go into edit mode. We'll select that top face here, Shift D to duplicate it, and then just press P and then selection. So now we have this flat circle here. I'll go into edit mode again, scale it inwards, and then press E to extrude and drag the whole thing down, and then press A and drag the whole thing up so it's sticking outside of the glass jar just slightly, something like that. Now the origin point is down here at the bottom, so let's right click, set origin to geometry so it snaps it back to the center of the object. And that looks pretty good. As for the objects inside the jar, you can use whatever object that you want. You saw at the beginning of the tutorial, there were some Lego pieces, some icospheres. You can even add in monkey heads if you like to. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be adding in an icosphere. So press Shift A, add the object that you want. And then in the properties, we're going to scale this down until it's around 0.2 meters or so, somewhere around there. Then we'll place it over here on the left side, Control A, and then apply the scale. Now we want to make sure this is inside the jar, so I'm going to place it right on the inside of the solidify, so somewhere around there is good. And then press Shift D and move it over, and then left click like that. Now if you press Shift R a couple of times, that's going to duplicate your last action, so it will duplicate it all the way across. And I'm just going to drag all of them over so they're a bit more centered, just like that. And then in the top view, I'm going to hit 7. Let's drag this towards the outside edge, right about there. Shift D, lock it towards the Y, drag it down, and then press Shift R again until it fills out the entire thing. So with all of them selected on the bottom there, Shift D will drag it upwards, and then Shift R a couple of times until we fill out the entire thing. Somewhere around there is pretty good. That's enough icospheres. And then in the top view, we want to delete all of the icospheres that are on the edges. So we'll zoom in over here, and with the circle select, just select the ones that are on the outside edge somewhere around there. If they're sticking out a little bit, that's okay. They're going to be pushed back into the jar when we start simulating, but the ones that are sticking outside, go ahead and delete those. So something like that, that one as well. Down here at the bottom, we'll select all of these ones, X and delete. Then with all of the icospheres selected, let's press M and move them to their own collection here. We're just going to call it Ico, and then create that collection just like that. This will make sure everything is still organized. From here, we're ready to chop up our glass object. So with the glass object selected, we're going to add in the cell fracture add-on, and if you don't have that enabled, go over to your user preferences. Underneath the get extensions, just type in the word cell and you should see the cell fracture add-on. Go ahead and enable that. Then from here, press F3 or whatever your search bar shortcut is. We're going to be adding in the cell fracture. Now it brings up this menu and there's a lot of stuff that we can change here, but we only really need to change two settings, and that is the noise. This will allow the pieces to be a bit more random, so set that up to 1. And then the source limit is how many pieces they're going to be. Let's go to around 70 pieces. Then we can go ahead and click OK. And you should see here it's going to chop up our jar, and it should only take about a couple of seconds and then it will be finished. Once it's finished, go ahead and press M and move these objects to their own collection as well. And we're just going to call this collection Shattered, just like that, and go ahead and create that. The other thing I want to do is I want to scale all of these shattered pieces down just slightly so that they're a bit separated between each other. We're going to switch this over to the individual origins right here, and then just scale them down slightly. Somewhere around there is pretty good. Just a little bit of a gap between all of them. So now when we simulate it, they're not going to split and fly everywhere. They'll actually simulate properly. Now that we have all of the objects in place, let's press Shift A. Let's add in a plane object. This is going to be the ground for the object to shatter on. We'll scale it out pretty big. And then with everything selected, deselect the plane. Let's go into the front view once again. We'll drag this up and place it where we want it to drop from. Make sure you switch it back over to the medium point, and then we can rotate it somewhere around there so it kind of drops at an angle. Something like that will look pretty good. To start out simulating, let's select the ground plane, jump over to the physics properties, go over to the rigid body, and this is going to be the passive mode here. So switch the type over to passive. We're going to select the glass object next, click on rigid body. We'll leave the type on active. The other thing we're going to do is animate the dynamic checkbox right here. What I want is for all of the icospheres inside the jar to settle before it starts falling down. And we can do this pretty easily by jumping over to frame 24. We can allow about 1 second for everything to settle down. We're going to turn off dynamic and then add in a keyframe. 1 frame later, go ahead and turn it back on and then add in that second keyframe. So now this is what it's going to look like. You can see there, then it drops down and starts to simulate. Now the next step in this tutorial is we're going to take this animation data and we're going to actually convert it over to keyframes. This is important because we want to parent all of these shattered pieces, the collision, and the lid to this object, and you can't do that while it's a rigid body, while it's an active rigid body. So with the glass jar selected, let's find out when it collides with the ground floor, which is around 57 right here. So what I'll do is with it selected, we're going to go over to object, down to rigid body, and then click on bake to keyframes. Now we don't need to bake in 250 frames, we only need to bake in around like 58 frames. So switch the end frame to around 58, and then for the frame step, let's just go up to 2. We don't really need to bake in every single frame. And then click OK. And you can see down here at the bottom, we now have keyframes to work with, and now we can start parenting everything to this glass object. Now to parent everything to that object, let's select the collection, right click, and then click on select objects, and then holding control, we'll select the collision, the lid object, which is named collision 001, and then finally the glass object last. We'll press Control P and parent it while keeping the transform. And so now all of the shattered pieces, the collision and lid are now parented, and they should move together when we play this. And you can see that is working properly. Now we can start simulating the other objects. Let's open up the glass object and then select the collision. We'll simulate this first. We'll click on rigid body and leave the type on active. And then for the shape down here, we're going to switch it over to mesh. Now at the moment this is still not going to work, and that's because the normals are pointed towards the outside of the mesh. We want them pointing towards the inside of the mesh, which will make Blender treat this as an empty object. We can do this by going into edit mode, selecting everything, and pressing Ctrl, Shift, and N. And now if we take a look at the normals here, you're going to see they're pointed towards the inside, and now this will simulate properly. The other important thing is turning on the animation option right here, so it will still remain parented to the glass object. And the other thing we want to do with this object is we want to animate the collections tab here. We want to make sure that all of the icospheres are colliding with this collision object until it hits the ground floor. So play the animation and find out when it hits, which is around frame 57. So we're going to jump back to frame 56, hover your mouse over the collections tab and hit I. Then one frame later, we're going to move it to a new collection and then hit I once again. All of the icospheres are going to be in the collection 1, and then when it hits frame 57, this object jumps to frame collection 2, and now the icospheres will fall through and scatter everywhere. As for the lid, select that object, click on rigid body, we'll leave the type on active, and then we'll turn on the animated checkbox. Now we do want the lid to have physics when it crashes into the ground floor, and so let's do that exact same animation, but for the animated checkbox. We're going to jump to frame 56 here, add in a keyframe. One frame later, we're going to uncheck this and add in another keyframe. So now the lid will fall down and hit the passive plane here and scatter everywhere. We need to do a very similar effect to all of these shattered pieces. So go ahead and select the collection, right click, select objects, holding Control, select the top one to be the active object. We're going to click on rigid body, set the type over to mesh right here. And underneath the sensitivity, we're going to bring this a bit lower so they don't collide with each other. Let's go to a value of 0.01. And as for the animation, switch to frame 56 here, turn on the animated checkbox and add in a keyframe. One frame later, turn it off and add in another keyframe. Now to apply that same animation to the other objects, we first need to go over to Object, Rigid Body, Copy from Active, and then press Ctrl L and then click on Link Animation Data. Now all of these objects should have that animation right here. The other thing that we want to do while we're here is to animate the render icon. We don't want these shattered pieces to show up in the render until they crash into the ground floor. So again, jump over to frame 56, uncheck the render icon and add in a keyframe. One frame later, turn it back on and then hit I once again to add in that second keyframe. And since the animation data is linked, it should apply to all of the other objects. To see if this is working properly, play your animation and you can see they crash down, and then all of the objects fly and crash everywhere, and that is looking perfect. As for the icospheres, open up the collections tab right here, select it, right click, select objects, holding Control, select one of them to be the active object. We'll click on rigid body, leave the type on active, and as for the shape, we're going to switch it over to sphere, and that's all we really need to do. From here, jump over to the object, down to rigid body, and then click on copy from active. If your animation is working properly, we can jump over to the scene panel, open up the rigid body world, and then we can start to bake this in. Now you saw at the beginning of the video, one of the animations I had the speed slow down when it hit the ground plane, and you can do that as well with the speed setting here. You can start to animate it at around like 54. You can slow it down by setting it to around like maybe 0.2, 0.5, and then speeding it up after the fact. For this tutorial though, I'm just going to leave it at a value of 1 for the entire thing. Save your project and then click on Bake Data. Now here is our final simulation. You can see it crashes down and scatters everywhere, and that is looking pretty nice. Now before we work on the glass shader, let's open up the glass object here, and for the collision, make sure that's hidden from the view and from the render. We do not want this object to show up. And as for the glass shader, I'm going to split this view, switch it over to the shader editor, and then just create a new material right here. I'm going to delete the principled shader and press Shift A, add in a shader, and then add in a glass shader right here. Take the BSDF and plug it into the material output. To actually see what we're doing, we can jump over to the world settings and add in an HDR. Go ahead and click on that button and then select the environment texture. And if you want to use the same HDR I'm using, it's this one right here called Reading Room. And now if we go into the rendered view, we can see what this looks like. And I am using cycles for this animation. The glass just looks so much better in cycles than it does Eevee. So that's why we're going to be using cycles for the final render. You can use Eevee if you would like to though. To apply the glass shader to the rest of the object, select the shattered collection, click on select objects, hold Control, select one of them, and then in the drop down menu, select the glass material. From here, hit Control L and then click on Link Materials. And now all of the objects should share that exact material right here. There's one thing that I noticed when working with the glass, and it adds this very dark line right here in the glass, which I don't really like, and there's a very easy way to fix that and get rid of it. It may not be as realistic as leaving it in, but I just find it looks a bit better if we remove that black line right there. And to do this, we can add in an input and then use a light path node. Then we need a mix shader, so we'll add in a mix shader. We'll need a transparent shader as well. Take the output, plug it into the bottom input of the mix shader, and then for the glossy depth, take this and plug it into the factor. So now you can see if we select the mix shader, press M to remove that, you can see we have that harsh black line. But now when we enable this, that line is now gone, and now our glass is looking pretty nice here. The other thing I want to do is I want to select all of these objects, right click, and then we'll go shade auto smooth so everything is nice and smooth. Same thing for the jar right here, right click and shade auto smooth, and now this is looking pretty nice. As for all of the icospheres, select the collection, right click, select object, make sure one of them is the active object, and then we'll create a new material right here. And to create random variation between all of the other objects, what you can do is press Shift A, go over to input, and then add in an object info node. There's a random output right here, which we can then plug into a color ramp, which can go into the principled shader. We'll add in a color and then color ramp right here. Take the random, plug it into the factor, then the color is going to go into the base color right here. And then of course we need to press Control L, link materials, and now you can see all of the objects have random variation between them from this color ramp. From here you can add in a couple of new handles and change the colors however you like. I also like to switch this over to constant so that all of the objects have a constant harsh cutoff rather than a smooth one. So something like that, and then from here you can select the colors and choose whatever you like. So if you wanted like a blue one there, we can go with a red one here. So after playing around with some colors, I found that these colors look pretty nice for our animation right here. It gives us some nice, very blue, greenish hues. And now we are ready to render out the final animation. I'm gonna position my camera right about here and hit Control Alt Numpad 0 to snap it to place. Then we can select it, G middle mouse button, and drag it outwards until we get the full picture. Something like that, and then just make sure everything is framed nicely, which it looks like it is. Over in the render tab, we can set the render samples down to around 50 or so. We don't really need that many samples for this. The one thing that we will want to add is some motion blur. This will really make your scene look a lot better. The shutter amount, I'm going to go down slightly to around 0.4. And then for the color management down here at the bottom, I'm going to set the look down here to high contrast. And now you can see our scene is really starting to look good. One other material that I forgot to do is the lid. We can create a new material right here and then just make it like maybe dark grayish. You can also give it more of a brownish color. Something like that will look pretty good. Then at this point, set an output and then render out the final animation. One thing I forgot to mention is with the glass object, you want to make sure this object disappears from the render when it collides with the mesh. Because if you don't do this, you're going to get this effect where the glass jar is still in the scene. So what you want to do is jump over to frame 56 right here, just like all of the other animations in the scene. Hover your mouse over the render icon, hit I, and then one frame later, frame 57, turn this off, and then add in another keyframe right there. And then you should be good to render out the entire thing, and this object will disappear on frame 57. But there we go, that is how you create a glass shattering effect in Blender. And again, you can find all of the blend files for this tutorial over on my Patreon, the link is in the description. And if you created something cool from this tutorial, I would love to see it, so make sure to tag me on Instagram at BlenderMadeEasy. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.